Hello, ladies, and welcome back to Get 'em Girl, a girl's guide to relationships, femininity, dating, polarity, and attraction. Okay, ladies, I have to ask you if you have ever run across a woman who just exudes femininity and it seems effortless in the way she inhabits a space, even in her mannerisms. There's just something about her that is just feminine and flawless, and she just glows. If you have, I need you to understand that there is effort, okay, behind being that way. There is a habit forming process that you have to go through to get to this space. These are things and habits that she's put into her lifestyle every single day, to where now it is second nature. And so what I'm going to do today is give you 5 habits that I think you should be including in your everyday so that you can be the woman who is effortlessly exuding femininity and effortlessly maneuvering in rooms, and people are wondering, who is that girl? And jumping into the first habit, we're going to talk about the art of having a graceful presence. What do I mean when I say that? It's your posture, okay? It's the ability to be poised in your body language, not even when you open your mouth. Because what you don't realize is a lot of times our presence, the way we carry ourselves, speaks before we even open our mouths. When you walk into a room, people are reading body language. That is the first thing that we pick up on. And so what I'm going to say to you is, your posture is important. Being confident and standing tall and being comfortable, okay, in your own skin is going to be a game changer when it comes to presenting more feminine, okay, because we are comfortable in our bodies. We love our bodies. We are comfortable with the attention of other people. And honestly, when you walk into a room and you are graceful and standing tall, even if you don't feel confident, it exudes confidence, ladies. It really does. It exudes confidence. And so walking into rooms and being graceful in your mannerisms. We don't want to be fidgeting and making all these unnecessary movements to kind of avoid contact. Another thing about that is eye contact. It's okay to make direct eye contact. I don't know what it is, but for some reason people avoid it at all costs. That's going to speak to your confidence though, ladies. You need to be able to embody, okay, being feminine in the body that you're in. Okay, moving with intention, moving with elegance. And here's another thing about being poised and being graceful. We don't rush in our movements. We don't rush in our walking. We don't rush ourselves. We move with confidence at a pace that's comfortable for us, and they can wait. That's a part of your femininity. Okay, ladies, walking confidently, having soft mannerisms, and moving gracefully is a part of that poise and posture. It speaks to your confidence as a feminine woman, and you are not afraid to share that. Okay, ladies, so a few tips: stand tall, slow down, okay? Move and make eye contact, smile, be okay with being seen, okay, ladies, because you do not have to run from being seen. Be confident in your body, okay? Be confident in the way you hold yourself and your posture, because that's going to speak before you even open your mouth. Okay, ladies, the next habit that I want to touch on is your feminine communication. So this is going to be your tone of voice. These are going to be the words that you choose to use. This is going to be when you choose to speak. All of these things feed into your feminine communication, okay? And so when we speak on your voice, right, we want there to be some warmth there. And we want there to be some kindness in your tone. Okay, ladies? And there's a way to have that and still come off confident. I'm not saying be mousy, and I'm not saying that you have to be hushed and speak in whispers, but there is a way to be gentle yet confident in your tone of voice. Okay? And if this is something that you kind of struggle with, I need you to start to kind of be more intentional about talking to people. When you're talking to people, I want you to actually kind of pay attention to what your voice sounds like in the moment. Are you conveying what you want are you conveying that feminine essence that you want people to be able to detect in you? Okay, ladies, does it sound like they're speaking to a woman who is elevating in her femininity? All these things I want you to be paying attention to, okay? Because there can be warmth in your voice, and you still can make a point without having to be overly harsh in your tone and without having to be very abrupt in the way you speak. Okay, ladies, there's a way to do both. Okay, and if you need help on that, I'm going to tell you to find 2 or 3 women who you kind of admire their voice. I know I have women like that, to where you listen to them and figure out what draws you to their speaking. Okay, study those things so that you can kind of figure out your own brand, your own tone of voice that you want to have when speaking, because tone matters. Your tone can make or break a conversation. Okay, ladies, so that is super important. When we're talking language, okay, ladies, we don't want to be doing all of that harsh stuff, all of that overly aggressive speaking and all of that. We leave that for the other girls, okay? Because there is a way to make points, even if the points have to be a little bit more direct. And here's another thing that I don't think is talked about enough when it comes to communication: your reactions to the things that you are hearing, your reactions to the conversation that's going on. That's a part of your communication as well, ladies. Okay, because there is, how do I say this? There is a way to react in conversation that is feminine, even when you don't agree, okay? I would suggest in these situations to be slow to speak and think about what you're going to say before you say it, okay? Because the last thing we want to do is get in conversations to where we are getting out of character, and it's up to us to meter ourselves. No one else has to do that for us. We do that, okay? And a way that you do that is to be very, very intentional about when you start to speak, when you start to react. Knowing when not to react, ladies, is huge in your feminine communication, okay? It is okay for you to take a pause in a conversation to get things together, okay? Because that's going to speak more to your femininity, your emotional control, your self-control, than going at whoever this person is the same way they're coming at you. Okay, ladies? So these are all things, your reactions, all of these things feed into your communication. And when we're talking about, especially if you're talking about speaking to men, okay, it's okay to do a little bit of light teasing. There's okay for humor. That eye contact is going to be great. Let your voice, don't be monotone. That's what I'm trying to say. Let your voice squeal. Go up and down in tone. It's completely fine to have excitement in your voice and in the words you're using when you're engaging, okay? It's okay to be a little bit playful when you're engaging with a man, because that's something that we do that they don't do, okay, ladies? It's more charming for us to do that in conversation. We bring light. We bring excitement to it. We bring a little bit of playfulness to it, because we are the feminine party. We flow. Okay, ladies? So habit number 3 is going to be appearance. Practicing appearance. Okay, ladies? Because here's the thing. Looking put together and looking your best, it does not mean that it's expensive. It means that you put focus on it. You pay attention to it. Okay, ladies? And so, of course, hygiene is the foundation, okay, for a feminine appearance. We never, ever, ever want to skip that, okay? You should not be putting on makeup and clothes and everything and you have not done a hygiene routine, okay? So even if you miss on these other points, I need you to get the hygiene correct. I need it to be right, ladies. But moving on, when you're talking about a feminine appearance, okay, we want to make sure that we have defined our looks that look best on us, okay? Because here's the thing. It's not meant for all of us to walk around looking the same. It's not meant for all of us to have the same hair. And we talked about this in another video. You need to figure out those styles and those looks that are going to fit you and make you look and feel your most feminine. And it will not be the same for everybody. Okay, and so we want to be making sure that we are finding what those styles are for our hair. As far as our nails, making sure we're getting our nails groomed, well done. And even if you're not like an acrylic girl or whatever, making sure your natural nails are clean. We don't want jagged edges. All of these things, ladies, to look clean and polished. Okay, that's what we want. We want clean and polished. What I will say is, when it comes to, as far as our fashion, when it comes to presenting more feminine, I feel like we have gotten away from playing with color, because color is such a big part of expressing ourselves. Color is such a big part of expressing our emotion, evoking emotion, and I feel like we need to get more playful with that in our attire. It's okay to not wear neutrals all the time. Do you know what I'm saying, ladies? It's okay to have different tones in your wardrobe, playing around with different colors. I feel like in the spring is when we see this most, but it's great all the time. Let's start to play around with some accessories. Let's get some dangly earrings, okay? Let's play around with different looks, shades, and like rings and bracelets, and let's bring those things back, because I feel like we've gotten too much into the neutral looks that we don't play with our appearance as much as we used to. And I think we should. That speaks to femininity. Different colors and different accessories and tones, they kind of speak to personality. They speak to how you express yourself physically is an expression of how you feel. Right, ladies? It really is. When you think about it, when you're feeling frumpy and you feel like maybe you've gained some weight and all of these different things, what do? We cover up, we put sweats on, we wear black. Okay? And so going in the opposite direction and playing with color and playing with different accessories and putting on heels every once in a while, ladies, all these things speak to confidence and femininity and kind of our playfulness in nature and the way that we flow. Okay, ladies? So these are things that I think would be instrumental, okay, in upgrading your appearance. Play around with a little bit more. When you go in the store, play around with a color that you have not actually tried before, okay? Throw it in little by little, okay? But when we're talking about appearance, once again, we're going to talk about confidence, okay? Whatever you wear, whatever you do with your hair, whatever way you wear your nails, you need to have confidence behind it, okay? Because confidence is going to make you look better than any accessory. It does not matter what you put on if you do not exude that. Okay, ladies, so that is very, very important. And I want us to go back to being dainty, honestly. Let's play around with skincare in our free time, okay? Let's go shopping for accessories sometimes. Let's get into some stores and play around with our look and change things up. Let's get playful about these things again, ladies, and kind of get, not playful, but let's get to where we experiment a little more with our look and have a little more fun with that, okay? Because we do not have to just walk around in pink, okay? There are so many different ways to express your femininity in clothing and accessories and in your appearance, okay? Show your personality in that. The next habit, ladies, we have just talked about, okay? We just talked about it. If you go back to my last video, we just talked about this in depth. The next habit is moving in silence. Okay? Be a mystery. It's okay to be a mystery. It's okay to not be an open book. Okay? If you were meant to be an open book, we would get that stuff down on some paper and you can sell it for a profit. You're not meant to be an open book. Okay, ladies? And so it's okay to maintain mystery. The one who speaks the least is the one that people are most curious about. Okay, ladies? And so I want us to practice not announcing every movement we make. Once again, we just talked about this. Moving in silence and creating goals for ourselves without everybody having to know. up-leveling in our appearance, growing and getting better and achieving more and creating new lifestyles without everybody having to know. Okay? You don't have to talk about all of these things. And I really urge you to go back and watch the last video. Okay? So in this, I'm not going to stay on it too long, but in this, some ways that we're going to kind of get rid of so much talking but still get it out. We're going to be journaling. Okay, we're going to be journaling. We're going to be, if you need to see a therapist, go ahead, go to therapy and get all of that stuff out. Okay, ladies, if you have someone that's an accountability partner for certain things, you talk to certain friends about certain things. Okay, ladies, all of this is going to be instrumental in your femininity, because honestly, the less people that know what you're doing, the less you got to stress about these people. Okay, ladies? So like I said, go back to the last video. I just did a whole video on this. Okay, so I'm not going to stay on this long. Okay, so with that being said, the fifth habit that I feel like we as women have to get back to, because we have gotten away from it because we got our own bags now, you know, all of that. I want to get back to the art of receiving. Okay, the art of receiving is literally the feminine energy in action. Okay, the feminine is a receiver, and she's a gracious receiver, ladies. Okay, so whether it is a compliment, whether it is a gift, it does not matter. I need you to get comfortable, okay, with accepting and receiving. So many times I see women, like I'll give someone a compliment or something like that, and they're like, I hadn't done nothing to this. This is old, and you know, all of these different things. I'm like, it does not matter. I'm telling you that it looks good. I'm telling you that you look good. You say thank you, okay? You do not, a lot of times I think it's a defense mechanism. Okay, because we're so used to like trying to divert the attention, but it's okay to say thank you. It's okay to say thank you. It's okay to recognize that, yes, I do look good, and I appreciate you for also recognizing it. It's great to be able to receive, ladies. And in the instance that you're receiving from a man, in the instance that it's like gifts or whatever it is, please, please, please do not break our reward system with men. Okay, ladies, it is actually a benefit for them to do something for us and get a thank you back. Okay, it actually feeds their masculinity to get a thank you back and to get some kind of positive feedback from us. Okay, it's great actually to accept from men with grace. It feeds their need to be providers. It feeds their need to do for us. Okay, ladies? And the more that you actually learn to accept, and the better you become at accepting, you'll find that you'll be receiving a lot more. Okay? Because accepting and being a gracious receiver breeds getting more things to accept, having to accept more. And that's actually a beautiful thing, because that's the femininity in action, baby. That's what it is. So, ladies, please learn to accept with grace, whatever it may be. Learn to accept with grace. We are receivers. Okay, ladies, so hopefully this video helped you ladies out. I want you to actually practice putting these things into your day-to-day routines and watch how your femininity journey skyrockets, ladies. I'm telling you, you will be exuding femininity without even having to open your mouth. Okay, ladies? So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I'm thanking y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all for all the love on the last video. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.